We are speaking today with Sandy Solmon, CEO and President and Director of Research and Development for Sweet Street Desserts. Sweet Street is one of the real success stories in Berks County business. Tell me briefly how the company got started. It goes back quite a ways.
I always say I moved to Reading. So, in that move, it was really, I guess an opportunity to change what I was doing, and probably a necessity. I lived in Northern California. I was a press photographer. I had very exciting assignments. And when I moved to Reading, I did a couple of assignments professionally, and I went up to Hazleton to photograph deer hunters, it just wasn't the same.
No, it's not quite the Bay Area.
Student protests and communal living and ashrams and the politics of that time. They make it. And so now I'm in Reading, and what do I do?
Right. So how did you come upon the idea of a baking company, of a dessert company?
I had a couple of ideas that I'd sort of brought with me that always sort of seemed like possibilities. I was interested at the time in either starting sort of a spa. I'm clearly way ahead of its time, with hot tubs and saunas and massage. It was something that was very hot at that point in Berkeley, and pre the whole spa era of today.
Sure.
So that was not an idea that seemed to have a lot of traction.
Right.
And the other idea was to start a cookie company. When I was out there, Mrs. Fields was building retail stores, and I, as a student, was addicted to these giant chocolate chip cookies they sold in big jars in convenience stores. And I thought
I'm with you on that.
Yeah, and I thought that might be a fun idea to turn into a business.
Now, when we emailed about this a little bit, you mentioned that your whole impetus was you weren't interested in being a small business. You saw an opportunity to be a big national business selling to wholesale.
Yeah, I didn't really see myself as a large national business. I saw myself as having a larger scope than just a local shop.
Okay.
So when I said it, I developed a business plan to deliver cookies and place jars in convenience stores. And convenience stores were just, they were just rising out of the earth. It was a very hot new concept at the time.
This would have been the late 70s.
This was in the late 70s, and their whole concept changed. Instead of just gas and milk, they wanted to fill their stores with things that they could find in supermarkets, but mostly because gas was such a big commodity, they wanted to sell grab-and-go food. People who were driving, pick up a coffee, pick up a dessert, ice cream, whatever, and walk into the car, and that was the beginning of dashboard dining.
So that was the your market in the beginning was convenience stores.
It was convenience stores and specialty stores.
And how talk about the growth from there?
How did I develop that part of the business?
Yeah.
I literally bought a van, got a driver, and we take a map. We'd map out routes between the convenience stores, and then we'd go and sell to all the stores in between. And we created routes of maybe 250. I think at the height we might have had about 400 stores we delivered to.
And did you bake too?
I hired a baker, but bakers don't show up to work sometimes, and in those days especially. And oftentimes I'd have to go knock on their doors to bring them into work. So
So eventually the market, your customer base changed over time.
What happened, and it's sort of part of my philosophy in life that you always stay open and interested and curious. And I met somebody who said I needed to go into the food service business, and with that how do I meet? And they introduced me to a food broker who said the things that I was making would be well suited to casinos that were sprouting up, and we put 2 layers of cake together and some icing in between and marked them for slices, and we went down and visited the casinos.
So that was the beginning of the food service side.
And that was the beginning. And just at that time, women were going back to work. The paradigm was shifting. People started going out to dinner more, and the restaurant industry exploded. So I hit a paradigm shift. I got very lucky.
When was that?
I'd say that was in about 84, 85.
Okay, so it didn't take that long.
No, it didn't.
You mentioned that you're the head of R&D here.
Uh-huh.
And one of the email exchanges we had to do with the fact that you can freeze your products several times and they still taste okay. How much time and energy goes into finding the mix of ingredients that allows you to do that? How important is that to the business?
That is incredibly important. We might have a staff today of 9 R&D chefs. But back then, when there was myself and one other person, we could do and still do 90, 100, maybe more renditions of the product till we get it right, till we get the moisture, the texture, the bake, the function of the ingredients, more butter, less flour, different kinds of flour. There's an almost infinite number of possibilities in any given product. And so once you know some of the key texture and moisture drivers, you just see how you can integrate them and take a product right to the edge. So it's, yummy and it still functions and it doesn't, drop.
Yeah. Make that sound very exciting.
But it is. The process of R&D is very exciting. It's sort of, for me, that's the fun. Once it goes and is shown to the customer, then, my salesperson, my business manager, that's their high. They get when the customer chooses the product. But for me, it's always about the creation and the idea.
And where do you get new ideas from? How do you find new things to make? I'd say, and I always say that, the world is truly your learning lab. And every day when I wake up and meet somebody new or go to a new restaurant, New York is fantastic. We have a place there just for the past few months, and every restaurant I walk into, a play, a person you meet, there's so many ideas. They're always a resource, and it's all a matter of connecting the dots. Having a clue help you go from A to D. Make that intuitive leap that goes from, I'm making a blondie and I want it to be chewy and have some cool texture, to let's put kettle fried potato chips in it. What would that do? Now it's a sweet and salty blondie, and everybody loves sweet and salt today. And pretzels and chocolate.
Pretzels and chocolate, yes. That was the first one, and that was so local. And today it's the hottest rage. Our hottest product is a salted caramel vanilla crunch cake. And every customer that we have, wants their own version of it. course, they want it to look like the first one they saw, but they think they want their own version, and we try and we have to keep it so different for people.
Talk about the competition. There must be any like a restaurant in New York must hear from dozens of people selling desserts they could potentially buy from. How do you what's the secret to developing those relationships where you're finding people to sell to?
Well, we have a very large network. First of all, it starts with my VP of Sales, Rick Kirkpatrick, and he has 9 sales managers working for him, and Doug Messenger, my husband, who runs our international, and he has 5 salespeople internationally who cover the rest of the world, and then each of them have brokers. In this country, we have a network of about 60 brokers, and each one of our brokers has salespeople that work for them, and it's just, there's a large network of people who represent us.
The brokers don't work for you. They're people that you build relationships with.
And they represent us, and they get a percentage of what they sell.
Okay.
So it's a classic relationship, the way you would have in a furniture dealer with an agent,
Sure.
insurance agent. And most business is done that way. Some people sell totally directly. But we like the relationships with people in the market, broad sales force in the market. And then we have 1,000 distributors. So, they sell to distributors who each could have anywhere from 5 to 200 salespeople. So there's this huge network of people, and when they get out to our customers, and our customers have been successful with the products, and their customers crave them and want them, and when they've been successful and the products stick, everybody wants it, wants the product. They anticipate what's new.
Was there one customer that you felt like put you over the edge, or made you think, oh, I can do this now? And who's your biggest customer today?
We have well, first of all, our customers sort of change. But I mean, one great customer, it's not our biggest customer, but one great customer is Barnes & Noble. We sell their cafes across the United States. They have 650 cafes, and we sell anywhere from 12 to 17 items in those cafes.
Do you do the one up off of 222?
We do all of them, yes. And what are those items? And you've never noticed our logo on
I haven't been in a
card?
Barnes & Noble recently, I have to confess.
Yes, and don't you read anymore? We all read off the internet, I know. Yeah. So yes, we sell them. We make cookies, scones, bars, cream puffs, parfaits.
Do you have somebody that's been with you for a long time as a customer?
Yeah, I mean, Barnes & Noble, 14 years, Starbucks, and various items for 17 years. We sell the Palm. From local cafes and country clubs to people like Olive Garden or Red Lobster. We have just a really vast array. But, a huge proportion of our business is the restaurants that you eat in, on a weekly or monthly basis locally. Hotels, Marriott.
And you've
Hilton.
stayed here in Reading all these years.
Stayed right here.
Did you ever give any thought to moving somewhere else?
Yeah, Reading is a fantastic town. I know it gets a lot of bad press, and we've got a fantastic workforce. A large part of our workforce is Hispanic, but it's quite varied, and great commitment and passion for what they do, and a lot of pride. And I think the thing that makes our product and sort of elicits that response is they have a lot of responsibility for quality every day when they get up. And because we make 250 different products, there's such a variety in what they do when they come to work. Plus, we launched 14 cakes and cheesecakes in last September, and now we're launching another 8 to 12 products, plus all the products we do for our chain account customers that change and vary. It keeps life very interesting, and everybody has to be on their toes, thinking and understanding what they're doing and committed to learning new jobs.
Sandy, I think we'll let that be the last word. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you.